Hi guys, it's Sky, and I am honored to be here with you and connecting with you, and as well as the beings are honored to connect with you and give you messages. And they've been working with me a couple times, and have relayed a few messages that I would like to give you. And as I said, I would always talk to you anytime I had been connected or downloaded or met with the light beings or asked a question, and they given me answers, or they come to me and there's stuff that they want you to know. And today it's a little bit of a combination. So let me just go. It's kind of a couple topics. Um, Really interesting stuff, actually. I had no idea some of the stuff. I've never heard of it. They just tell it to me. So uh, oh, okay, so first let's go to the whistleblower things. I just want to tell you what they want to talk about. They want to talk about whistleblowers and the mind of the consciousness, and how to download your consciousness into a protection course place in order for your mind to be protected if you are a whistleblower and you are about to be, you know that this is the end of your time and your time is up and your mission here on the planet is up, and you're going to be taken off the planet, and you know this for sure. And the light beings have given instructions for us to give to you. And the next thing that they want to talk about is the plane, that plane, and the flight 370. And I told you I don't watch any news. I didn't watch a day of president, nothing for 3-4 years now. Nothing. I tape something and I watch that, and and it's this one little show, and I omit the commercials and then I watch it. I don't watch it on TV anyway. I watch it later. So anyway, so I don't watch the news, and I just know that they talk about that flight 370, and they said that there were some people on the flight that, of course, I told you in my last flight, my last conversation, that they had that America had been working with China secretly, and they still are. The light beings tell me they still are, and they're thinking of becoming one thing. And they talk about our flag changing. And anyway, so there was information from the people that were on the plane. They had, of course, patent information. We've heard this, and but what they didn't say that we heard is that what I found was interesting, how it was translated to me, is that the people that on the plane, they actually made them work with them, and they knew that there was this technology, this Palladian technology, and it's alien technology. There's a difference, and they were able to take this plane and go through portholes, and the people that were on the plane were actually able to do this, but they had framed the people that were on the plane. They didn't, some of the patent, like some people that were on the plane that were patent, they didn't realize that that was going to happen. But once they got in that position, it was easier for them to it was easier for them to frame them and say, okay, you're here now, and we have this technology, and we need to start experimenting with it. And the technology was able to, I think, they've actually been working with this for a little while, and they said it's not going to be the only plane, that this was not going to be the only plane that we see that was going to do this. So and that they had, the people that was on the plane, from what I know, they had to keep using them. They had to use them to use the technology, and the people that were patent, they were on the plane. They had to use them, but they had to use the people, the passengers is the word I'm trying to say. They had to use the passengers, like, to manipulate. If you don't go along with this, these passengers are going to get hurt. They said the passengers, they talk about the kind of strange that these experiments, I understand that there's experiments where they want to take your consciousness out, and they want to put other people into this consciousness, which is going to lead me to the whistleblower thing as well. And so you can take your consciousness out. Like, this is very hard to explain. This is not your normal conversation. So you can take so you can take your consciousness out. These people that were on the plane, they wanted to be able to put in their new consciousness that they've been experimenting with. So they had to put these people to sleep for a little while. Now, that's the only information that I have, because what they did after this is they took me to the next part of information, which they started to talk about the whistleblowers, and that if we have if there's a whistleblower here that is going to be murdered, I don't know how to say that, then you have a right to transfer your consciousness into somebody else's mind. And you can do that by doing, it's very interesting how they explained this to me. They said that it has to be an agreement. You have to understand the process, and that the light beings are teaching people like me and other people on the planet. This is not me just getting this information. You're going to hear this out here too. But you can transfer. They're teaching us how you can transfer your consciousness to someone like me, someone that you pick, and they show you how to do that. And that person will get this information so that when your body's discarded, the information will still be kept on the planet. And you have to do this ahead of time. You can't do it you can't be on your deathbed and go, I'm going to throw that over to that girl or to that guy. That's not like that. This is something that has to be prepared well before you're about to leave, and you're going to have to be trained to do this. And they said that there's this place that in the ethereal, and we're going to just call it, for the sake of the conversation, and I guess the only way they can explain it to me is, we're just going to call it Mahogany Road. And they said this is guarded by high angels, and you can dump. It's almost like you can dump your consciousness into there, but you will become a void for a minute. So you have to really know what you're doing. And when you become a void, that's dangerous, because you don't want to lose your memory for the next lifetime. So you have to be really prepared to put your consciousness aside and trust it with the angels, or in this mahogany road, however they describe this. And but sometimes, see, it's a very guarded place, but the only thing is you have to get the right place, because everybody wants your consciousness. We are consciousness. And they want your information. They want your DNA. They want you. These reptilians want you. They want your soul. So you have to really guard this. You have to guard this here on Earth, and then you have to guard this in the ethereal. And especially if you're transferring consciousnesses and all that. But you can never lose your DNA soul, but they're really trying to do that too. But if you're a spiritual being under God, under Mother, Father, Creator God, you will never lose that. That DNA is so much stronger than the AI or whatever they're trying to manipulate into these transhuman beings. It just doesn't compare. They're starting to believe that it does, and they're making us believe that it does. And they're saying that light workers and people like us, we have no idea of how powerful we are. They said even our DNA is able to overcome this radiation. They said that even our DNA was able to eventually turn into Merkabahs. They said our DNA is, we can become telepathic, and many people are already doing all this stuff anyway, but that even though there were chemtrails, and even though there was all this stuff happening, that we still had the ability to overcome this. They said that they've put out messages. See, they know how to. Oh, this is one thing I cannot forget. They said to please tell you they are still pursuing a grid shutdown. See, they are still wanting that to happen, and that was coming not from the dark. That was coming because that there's too much going on the grid lines, and because they're sucking so much energy off of our grid lines, they have to move that. They have to move that. And what I also believe, what I've been told separately, way in the ethereal, is that I believe there's a change of guard here on the planet, and they're going to make sure. And wasn't some grand entrance. This is kind of like there's going to be a ceremony, but there's not going to be yet. There's not now, because it's kind of rearranging things. So these new guards are just going to make sure, call them the new Council of 12, however you want to say. They will make sure that these grid lines are changed. We cannot operate on the grid systems that we're doing. None of that is going to be in place. None of the banking system is going to be in place. They told me that years ago when I first met them, and I talked about that before. And oh God, let me see. Let me get back to the flight, and then let me get back to. I think I talked about the flight, and I think I talked about everything on the everything else they said about who we are. Yes, I told you that they said that was not going to be the first plane, that they were going to do this hijacking. Not hijacking, it's not a hijack, it was an experiment that was done with technology. and that a lot of weird things are going to start to be revealed, and we're already starting to understand this, that many people are going to keep having dreams. They're going to keep coming to us stronger than ever, especially if you're praying and you are connected to spirit. They said really stay away from the television, and well, I say that too. But they really are stressing that this whole thing, that everything that we watch is such an illusion. I mean, even to vote, you're the problem. When you vote, when you bank at these places, when you go to these places that are all controlled, you're the one that's promoting it. That's what they said too, is that the people had way more power because they're unconscious, and the number of them, once the number of them wake up, then we will be able to change this quicker than we could ever imagine. They said there's a lot more alien ETs on the planet, more than, it's not like we think there's spaceships up here. There are a lot more on the planet, and they also said that the government tells you that all these ETs, anybody who believes in ETs, a lot of it is aircraft and it's government and and they have the aircraft, they have the stuff to trick you. And all the abductions are from the government. That is not true. That's not true. That some of that's true. This depends on what dimension they're operating on. See, the aliens are going to go up to certain dimensions. I think I talked about this, and that's where the government will be able to have control. They do not have these other higher dimensions where the higher angelic beings are, or the ninth and the seventh, and they have major technology like you wouldn't even. It's so far beyond what we even can think of. But it's not as big as the angels and the highest beings. So that is where we have to be meeting. We all have to be meeting each other in the ninth dimension, and that's an internal journey. When you get there internally, you start to see them externally, because they're here. It's in world. It's not the reverse. It's in here and then it's out here. It's because you believe it, you see it. It's that way. And I think that that was going to be, well, they also started to decode. They were saying that the number 370 on the flight was more decoding. And March 3, I think, and then the 7 was like a beginning of a 7-year tribulation, how they were decoding it. And then the 10 was, uh, they were trying to talk about these leaders, and they were trying to divide the leaders. They still go back to the who's going to, it's almost like who's going to win, the light or the dark. It's this roundabout story. Who's going to win, the intellect, the people that are trying to create a fake god or an artificial intelligence, or the people of spirit, or the people of heart, the people of the DNA of love of God? That's eternal. That is the eternal. That is the eternal. But people are terribly asleep and terribly fooled. I just, once you wake up, you just can't even almost like leave your house, because you're just like, wow, people are really unconscious. It's kind of interesting. But and then they'll look at people that like that are sensitive to this stuff, and they literally think that you're crazy. If people knew how unconscious they were, they would be so sad. If they really knew how one we are with everything, we would operate in a divine unity. It's so sad how we operate. There's, in truth, in the mind of God, who we are, there's no sickness, there's no poverty, there's nothing. We are operating on this like eternal flow. It's in sync. Like you read everything, you know somebody's path, you know where you're supposed to be, you know when you hurt somebody. Like you are in sync, and we are so out of sync that we bring in the archons. We bring in the archonic energy here. We create that. Every time we don't heal our anger, it goes out into the ethereal. It almost creates an amoeba-like form, and it attaches back at you. You know, you have to clear your anger. That's what I love about Buddhism. When I chant for all of my realms, that I've cleared all of my realms and all of my anger. So anyway, I just wanted to give you updates, and that's what I have for you right now. Thank you for enjoying the journey with me.